everybody? Another video, man. Turning to '03 Greedo, The Legend of Grape Street by Hip Hop Daylist. He didn't tell it.
'03 Greedo is one of the most influential West Coast rappers of the new generation. But just as he was getting the fame that he deserved, the rapper was sentenced to 20 years in prison for drug trafficking and possession of a firearm. Let's take a closer look at the wild story of '03 Greedo, The Legend of Grape Street. Greedo was born in West Los Angeles, but moved to Gardena when he was just a kid. But right after they moved, his father was killed in a motorcycle accident. Greedo has also said that his dad was one of the very first Crips and used to run with Suki Williams, the founder of the gang.
My father was one of the first Crips, you know what I'm saying? My father ran with Tookie, so.
But despite his father's legacy, Greedo didn't get sucked into the street life right away. He was getting into trouble when he was younger and claims that he was addicted to cocaine at just 13 or 14 years old. He also said,
addicted to cocaine at 13 years.
that he never wanted to be in the streets and always had bigger goals for himself than what he saw going on in his neighborhood.
I never wanted to be in the streets. I never wanted to be a street. I don't like that shit. That's not tight. It's not tight. I'm surviving.
But after getting his girlfriend pregnant at age 17, he struggled to get by and worked multiple low-wage jobs at places like Best Buy and Robinson's May.
When I got my baby mom pregnant, I dropped out of school and then I started trapping. And then when I turned 18, I went and got a job at Mervin's and at Robinson's May, Macy's over there at the Galleria when it was Robinson's May. Mm-hmm. And I also worked at Fry's Electronics as a cashier manager and at Best Buy, cashier manager.
He even tried selling his own beats to support his new family, but it just wasn't enough to make ends meet, and he had to start selling drugs to feed his daughter, who was born just after he turned 18. He had also recently been kicked out of his mother's house for being disrespectful and was forced to stay with friends, his baby mama, and even spent a period of time being homeless. He eventually found a place to stay in the Jordan Downs housing projects on Grape Street in Watts, one of the roughest areas of the city. Jordan Downs is famous for being the headquarters of the Grape Street Crips, one of the most legendary Crip sets in all of LA. Their beef with the Bounty Hunter Bloods, who are also based in Watts, is one of the deadliest wars in West Coast gang history. Greedo ended up joining the Grape Street Crips after moving to Jordan Downs and spent the next few years hustling to provide for his family and creating a better life for himself. He started releasing mixtapes in 2010 under the name Greedy Giddy and was known for his crazy work ethic, dropping a total of 6 mixtapes between 2010 and 2012, including Bipolar 1 through 4, Money Power Regrets, and Everybody Weak. But his rap dreams would have to be put on hold for a while after he would be forced to plead no contest to 2 burglary charges and 2 felony firearm charges. He would end up being sentenced to 2 years in state prison where he would continue to work on his music. This gave him time to reflect and decide that he wanted to make rap his full-time career after being released from prison. But prior to being locked up, Greedo hadn't built much of a buzz with his music, so he had to start from zero again once he got out. This meant that he had to find another way to support himself and finance his career in the meantime, which forced him to return to selling drugs. On June 28, 2016, Greedo would get wrapped up in another legal situation that would eventually lead to the 20-year prison sentence he's currently serving. He and an accomplice were driving through the city of Amarillo, Texas, along I-40 when they were pulled over by police who uncovered drugs and illegal guns in the trunk of the car. The Grape Street Crips have ties to a satellite Crip set in Memphis. Rappers like Blockboy JB and NLE Choppa are affiliated with the Memphis-based set of the Grape Street Crips, and they have a big presence in the city. So, the Crips in Los Angeles are known to do business with their allies in Memphis, including drug trafficking. On the day he was released, Greedo and his associate were driving through the Texas Panhandle on the way back to California after picking up some product in Memphis. While they were driving through Texas, they were pulled over by police who claimed that they could smell weed coming from their car. The cops searched the entire vehicle, where they eventually uncovered 4 pounds of methamphetamine in the trunk. In addition to the drugs, the police also found 2 pistols and ammunition, which had been reported stolen in California. Greedo was charged with unlicensed possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of over 400 grams of a controlled substance. He spent about a week in jail, but was later released on bond and was allowed to return to California. Potentially facing decades in prison, Greedo decided to go twice as hard and make a name for himself in the music industry while he could still enjoy his freedom. He changed his rap name from Greedy Giddy to '03 Greedo because the set of the Crips he was part of were based on 103rd Street, which runs parallel to the Jordan Downs projects. By this point, he had already gotten the words Living Legend tattooed across his face, so music was pretty much the only legitimate route he could take to make a better life for himself. Luckily, around that time, his music first started to buzz, after he popped off with the song Mafia Business, a track dedicated to one of his fallen homies, Mafia Ray. Mafia Ray was an older dude from the neighborhood who was a big brother figure for Greedo growing up. When Greedo started making music, Mafia Ray was one of the first people to encourage him to keep grinding and even helped him build a bigger fan base by reposting his songs to his own social media. Mafia Ray was gunned down in a barbershop in 2016, and Greedo wrote the track Mafia Business in honor of his legacy. The video, which was filmed at the Jordan Downs projects, also features clips of Ray's gravesite and even his image made into a cardboard cutout. Mafia Business was one of the lead singles off the project Purple Summer, which he released later that year. He followed up with 2 sequels to that project, Purple Summer 2, Sun Don't Shine, and Purple Summer 03, Purple Hearted Soldier. With each project, Greedo was doing bigger and bigger numbers, and he was starting to build a solid fan base who were attracted by his raspy melodic sound. But just because he was beginning to build a buzz didn't mean that he made it out of the streets entirely. Around that time, he would be shot in the leg and almost needed to have it amputated. In an interview with DJ Vlad, Greedo said that he told them not to cut it off and believes that they only suggested amputation because it was the cheaper option and he didn't have any insurance.
Okay.
St. Francis ain't right.
Well, they actually wanted to cut your leg off.
Man, I don't think they was just, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that if they really was going to cut it, I could say, no, don't cut it, and they don't cut it. You feel me? I think that probably was a cheaper route or something, and they was just like bringing it, throwing it up there, see if we ran for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, yeah.
But before he could fully take his career to the next level, Greedo would be picked up by Texas bounty hunters and brought back to Amarillo, where he would stand trial for the drug and gun case from 2016. A photo of Greedo being arrested by authorities would become the cover art for the 3rd installment of his Purple Summer series, a project which would feature one of the rapper's biggest hits, Run For Your Life. During his trip back to Texas, Greedo was forced to sit in a van crammed full of other inmates for 6 days, where he wasn't even allowed to use the bathroom and had to relieve himself in water bottles. His leg was still recovering from when he was shot, so this trip was pretty painful in general. When he finally made it to Texas, the news was even worse. The court informed him that he would have to face trial for the gun and drugs charges and was potentially looking at up to 300 years in prison if convicted. Texas doesn't play around when it comes to drugs, and Greedo was caught trafficking about $80,000 worth of methamphetamine. He was allowed to post bail again and return to California to continue working on building his music career. Knowing that he might not be out on the streets for long, Greedo set out on a mission to record as much music as he possibly could. He recorded an entire mixtape on the night he got out of jail called First Night Out, which featured huge bangers like Rude and Zonin'. Fans were attracted to his unique style of hip-hop that combined street life with the melodic sounds of rock and emo. In 2017, he signed a deal with Todd Moskowitz at Alamo Records, a music industry veteran who managed Gucci Mane and also signed acts like Young Thug and Megan Thee Stallion. Greedo himself later announced that the deal came with a $1.7 million advance. Greedo dropped his debut project on the label, Wolf of Grape Street, in 2018, which featured appearances from PNB Rock, Young Tio from SOB RBE, and Catchy the Great and Ralphie the Plug from the Sting Team. But Greedo wouldn't take any breaks after releasing his first major label project and would be right back in the studio, prepared to record as much music as possible to be released if he was sent to prison. Greedo was prepared to live up to the words he had tatted across his face and to prove
that's so smart to what he did to record as much music before he get out of before he go to prison, bro. That's super smart. But 20 years, bro. You record 20 years of music, bro. And if you did, you can drop one song every year, bro? That's tough, bro.
To the world, he was a living legend. But before he could get a chance to start releasing his deep back catalog of music, Greedo would be sentenced for the case in Texas and end up spending the next few years behind bars. In April 2018, Greedo pled guilty to the drug and gun possession charges and was given a 20-year sentence with the possibility of being released in 5 years on good behavior. Fans were shocked and heartbroken because Greedo hadn't been too vocal to the public about the charges he was facing. But after being sentenced, Greedo went on social media to apologize to his fans for letting them down. He tweeted, "Never thought I'd have to retire the year I blew up, but shit was fun. And sorry I let my fans down.
Bro.
At least we got some great music before I left, y'all. I wish I could have stayed with my family, but life isn't fair to some of us. Plenty of music will be released while I'm gone. Promise me you'll love me forever." He also let his fans know that he had some time to get his affairs in order before he'd be sent to prison to serve his sentence. He dropped one final project before turning himself in, which was called God Level and features guest appearances from Rich the Kid, Lil Uzi Vert, Young Bands, and more. Then, on July 18, 2018, Greedo turned himself into authorities and began his 20-year sentence, which he's been serving ever since. At first, Greedo was eligible for parole in 2020, but he was denied and will have to wait until 2021 for the next hearing. But the prison time has not slowed down his hustle, and the rapper has continued to feed the streets while behind bars. He dropped a collaborative project with Kenny Beats in 2019 called Netflix and Deal, and another collaborative project with DJ Mustard called Still Summer in the Projects the same year. He also dropped an entire album with Ron the producer in 2020 called Loaded Up Volume 1. There's no telling how much music Greedo still has in the vault, and it's possible that he could continue to drop music until he's eventually released. Greedo has told the public that he believes his career as a rapper is what made him a target. Getting 2 decades for a non-violent drug crime seems pretty crazy, especially because he's shown evidence of wanting to change his life.
Crazy, bro.
They don't play around when it comes to rappers, drugs, and illegal guns in Texas. So it seems like they hit him with the harshest sentence possible to set an example. In a recent No Jumper segment, Greedo called Adam 22 from prison to give an update. During that call, he revealed that he's working on an appeal, which may allow him to come home early. Apparently, The driver of the car he was with at the time hired a lawyer who was able to prove that the police had no probable cause to search the car, so it was considered an illegal search.
And when they finally found my crime partner who was on the run, they tried to give him 30, how I got 20 because he was the driver, but then his lawyer found that they really had no.
Bro, they tried to give him 30?
And it was an illegal search and shit.
Now, this lawyer is helping Greedo file for an appeal to prove that the arrest wasn't legitimate in the first place. But due to COVID, the court system has been backed up.
Trying to get special parole here, so I'm in between that, and then I paid for my appeal, you know, right before COVID, but then COVID hit and closed the courtroom down, so we banking on the appeal or the, special appeal parole to come home.
While he was locked up, Greedo even contracted COVID, but was not allowed to be released. Although it seems like he made a full recovery. The streets of LA are definitely missing Greedo. In the short time that he was free and getting recognition for his music, he influenced a whole scene of younger artists who have continued to keep his legacy alive. Hopefully, Greedo will be home sooner than expected. Many of the details of this case do seem suspicious, and they clearly have some kind of bias against him because of how he looks and his criminal record in California. But at least Greedo has an impressive stash of music that has kept his career alive while he's been behind bars. Knowing the rapper's work ethic, he's likely continuing to work on his music even while he's locked up, preparing for the day he gets released. If you thought this video was crazy, be sure to check out our channel for more. From rappers pardoning of their crimes to youngin' Ace.
That's crazy, bro. 20 years for that? That's crazy, but yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, comment, and subscribe when we out, bro.